Now this phenomenon in light rays, reflection and refraction, they can be explained using the wave theory also. That is what we are going to use Huygens principle, and this refraction we are going to see now. Refraction can be explained using the concepts of Huygens principle. So in this diagram you can see that light rays are entering from medium 1 to medium 2, okay, in the direction of a dash a, and medium 2 is a different medium, so here speed is changing. Let us say in medium 1 the speed is v1 and here it is v2, okay. In the second medium it is v2. So you can call this, when you are considering a set of rays, you can call this as an incident wavefront, okay. And the wavefront is moving from dash to a. Now at this point it is going to enter into the second medium. So here we have to construct the refracted wavefront. Now the procedure for that is, when this ray, see these two rays have to be parallel, okay. We are considering a parallel beam of light. We are considering a parallel beam, okay. So when this ray is here, from here to here, let us say from it travels BC distance in tau time. In the same time, because in this region the velocity is different, it is going to travel v2 tau. Here it is going to travel v1 tau. Here it is v2 tau. Now if you take v2 tau as the radius and construct a sphere, you are going to get the refracted wavefront. And if you join all these tangents, you are going to get one here. You have to consider another ray which is parallel to this, okay, another ray like this you have to keep on considering. Then you are going to get here you have to construct a normal, you're going to get this. Here you have to construct a normal, you're going to get this, like that. So when you construct all these spheres and you join all those points, you're going to get this line. Actually it is a plane, it is a plane. So this is your refracted wavefront. So in this situation what we have to do is, this angle is I, alright. So this angle will be also I. Why it is I? Because this angle is 90, and if this angle is I, this angle will be 90 minus I, and this total angle is 90, so this angle will be I. So you have to calculate sin I from triangle ABC. You are going to get BC by AC, okay. So BC we have calculated, it is V1 tau by AC. Similarly, if this angle is R, from geometry we can prove that this angle also is R. R is the refracted angle, so we will calculate sin R. Sin R will be AE by, because this angle is this, it will be AE by AC, opposite by hypotenuse, okay. So AE is V2 tau and AC is as it is. So if you divide these two, you're going to get sin I by sin R is equal, A is common, you will get V1 by V2, okay. Now let us introduce the refractive index. Refractive index is defined as the speed of light in air divided by the speed of light in the particular medium, okay. So here let us say this medium 1, the speed is v1, so refractive index will be n1 is equal to c by v1. Similarly n2 will be equal to c by v2. So in this you got sin I by sin R is equal to v1 by v2. So put these values here, okay. So v1 by v2, what it will become if you do n1 by n2. See, if you do n2 by n1, let us say n2 by n1 means what? C by v2 into v1. These two got cancelled. v1 by v2 will be equal to n2 by n1, okay. So n2 by n, this will be equal to n2 by n1, or n1 into sin I is equal to n2 into sin R. This is that equation. This is exactly what is Snell's law of refraction. So Snell's law of refraction we have proved using the Huygens principle. So we have proved the Snell's law of refraction using the wave concept. So if you have to notice one more thing here. Sin I by sin R is equal to V1 by V2. Let us say R is less than I. R is less than I. That means sin R will be less than sin I. Okay. That means sin I by sin R is greater than 1. So V1 by V2 will be greater than 1. V1 will be greater than V2. So you see here the angle is less when the speed is less. So this is direct contradiction to what Newton has proposed. If you remember the previous video where we have discussed, Newton said that when the speed is increasing, it will go closer to the normal. But actually here reverse is happening. If it is going closer to the normal, it means the speed is decreasing. Okay, maybe this medium is water and this medium is air. So from air to water, when the light rays are entering, the speed is dropping and this ray is going close to the normal. So this is direct contradiction to what Newton has proposed. So this is an important point you have to note. And if you explain this in terms of lambda, which is wavelength, let us say this BC distance is lambda 1, okay, and this AE distance is lambda 2, okay. So lambda 1 by lambda 2 will be BC by AE, right? BC by AE. But BC by AE you have already calculated that it is V1 by V2, okay. So you are getting lambda 1 by lambda 2 is equal to V1 by V2, or you can rearrange this equation and write it as V1 by lambda 1 is equal to V2 by lambda 2. Just rewriting this equation, okay. But what is this? These both are equal to frequency. Right? Because V is equal to lambda nu is the equation we know, right? So in both the cases, what is happening means when light is entering from one medium to another medium, the frequency is constant. Frequency remains the same. This is the most important point. Velocity may change, wavelength may change, but frequency remains constant. So here we have seen our situation from rarer to denser medium. This is a rarer medium, this blue is the denser medium. Okay, we will see the denser to rarer medium in the next. Phenomenon in light, whether it can be explained by wave concept. So in this figure you can see that the wavefront is moving, and let us say the wavefront is moving in this direction. Now by the time this ray reaches point A, from here to here it is taking time tau, and let us say the speed of the wave is v. So BC will be equal to Vt. Okay. Now we are studying this reflection of, this is a plane surface, as you can see in the diagram. This is a plane surface, so it will undergo reflection. There is an incident ray making an angle of incidence I. So here you can see that this angle is 90, right? So if this angle is 90, this angle is I, so this angle will be 90 minus I. Now you can see that this angle also is 90. This angle is also 90. Okay, and this angle is 90 minus I. So this angle will be equal to I. So if this angle of incidence is I, this angle is also I. So here what we are doing is, this BC is Vt, right? So, and this wave, this light rays are reflecting backwards. So taking radius as Vt, we will construct a sphere. We are trying to create a wavefront using the Huygens principle. So we have considered here only two light rays. So there can be infinite number of light rays. So you can take this point C and you can draw a tangent. You can connect these 2 points. Okay. We have to see whether this angle I is equal to angle R or not. If angle I is equal to angle R, this point, this tangent will pass through this point. So at the time being, we'll draw the tangent over here to construct the wavefront as mentioned in the Huygens principle. So here you see that here we will call this point as some P. So if you consider triangle PAE and triangle PCB, this angle is 90 and this angle is also 90. Okay, these two angles are equal. Obviously the third angle will be, this angle will be equal to this angle. Okay, so this angle we are talking about, this angle is equal to this angle now. So in this situation we can prove that. And what is this angle? This angle is equal to, we have already worked out that this angle is 90 minus I, right? You can see that this line and these two lines are perpendicular. Okay, this is I, and we have seen that this angle is 90 minus I. So let us say this angle is some x. Okay, so this angle also will be equal to x. So similarly we can prove that this angle I is equal to angle R, because you see that you if you consider triangle EAC and triangle BCA, these are right angle triangles, and AC is the common hypotenuse. Okay, so here this angle is 90 and this angle is 90. This is a common hypotenuse, and so this angle, angle EAC will be equal to angle BCA, because these two triangles are basically congruent triangles. You have a common side, you have a right angle also, and this BC is equal to AE. Okay, so basically what you are getting is angle EAC is equal to angle BCA. But here you have seen that this angle EAP is equal to angle BCP. That means angle PAC must be equal to angle PCA. But this angle is I, and this is the this line itself, this plane itself is a reflected plane. So here I is equal to R. This is our law of reflection. So like this we can prove reflection concept also using the wave theory. Okay. Reflection and refraction through plane surface and a spherical surface using wave concept. These phenomena can be explained in a prism and convex or concave mirrors and lenses also. In this figure you can see there is an incident wave which is entering through a prism. Now after refraction, the emergent wavefront will be like this. Why? Because basically what happens is, you see here, now this is a glass prism. Okay, so the velocity inside the glass prism will be less. See, velocity in air is more than velocity in glass. Okay, so light travels with greater speed in air when compared with glass. Now here the light has to travel only this much distance, but here it has to travel this much distance because thickness of the glass slab is more. So by the time it travels up to here, this light which is entering this portion, which is entering, it will only travel up to here. So the if you imagine that way, the refracted emergent wavefront will be like this. But this we have seen in the case of dispersion also. So this is how we can explain using the wave concept. If you take the case of a convex lens, what happens is in the center the thickness is more and the top the thickness is less. So basically what happens is you see a depression towards the center. You see a depression towards the center because light ray has to travel this much distance here, whereas this is less here, right? So you will see that the top portion has traveled this much distance, the middle portion is like this, and it is like this. So there is a curvature. The wave current will be having a curvature whose radius will be somewhere in this direction. So that is the reason why when light rays enters through convex lens, they are converging. They are converging. Now this we have proved with wave concept. If you take the case of a concave mirror, here also the similar situation. Here you see we are now talking, here we are discussing the reflection. These two cases were refraction. Okay. In the case of reflection also, you will see the depression towards the center, and here the light rays will quickly return, but here there will be a delay. So you can see the curvature will be in this fashion. This will be the curvature fashion. So that is why a concave mirror is same argument what we have used here. That is the reason why a concave mirror also is a converging mirror. You know, you will if this is the principal axis, you will see the focus here. So like this we can explain the light phenomena which we have studied in the previous chapter as ray optics. Here we are proving the same phenomena using the wave theory, wave concept proposed by the Huygens. So now we have in this video we have discussed about how reflection and refraction through a plane surface or a spherical surface can be explained using the wave theory. So next we will study about Doppler effect. In Doppler effect, let us say there is an observer and there is a source. Now there can be three scenarios. Source, observer at rest. Okay. Source, observer, rest. So this Doppler effect we have studied in class 11. Doppler effect, there will be no Doppler effect here. There will be no Doppler effect. There we studied about sound waves. Here we are studying about light waves. Scenario 2. Source is moving and observer rest. So the situation can be like this, that the source is moving away from the observer. Now in this situation we are assuming that here there is no medium. We are talking about vacuum, let us say. Okay. Now when the source is moving away from the observer, this source is creating lights. It is sending wavefronts. Creating light, wavefronts it is sending. Okay. Now what happens when the source is here, it will take some time from here to reach to the O. When the source is moving away, let us say this position is A, now it moves to position B. What will happen? The time will increase. So this time and frequency have inverse proportion. There is an inverse proportionality. If the time is increasing, what will happen? The frequency of the light emitted by the source will be dropping. Okay. If it is in rest, we don't study about Doppler effect. But when the source is moving away, the frequency is changing and in fact the frequency is dropping. Now this effect is called Doppler effect. This effect, this shift in frequency is what is called Doppler effect. Now here this shift in the fractional change in frequency is given by delta mu by mu is equal to minus v radial divided by c. Now this is change in frequency and this is the frequency of the source. C is the speed of light and v radial means you have to connect a line with the source. You have to draw a line between source and the object. When the source is moving away, you consider this v radial as positive. When the source is moving towards, this is away and this is towards. Okay, so with this formula we calculate the fractional change in frequency is equal to minus v radial by c. This v radial is we have to consider the line joining the source and the observer. Here the observer is at rest, only the source is moving. So this is how we calculate the Doppler effect. While studying Doppler effect, we need to consider one more point. See, we have seen this prism, right? And when white light enters into the prism, you see the dispersion. So here, if you see on a spectrum, this is our red light and this is our VGR. Okay, red light wavelength will be 660 nanometers. Now what happens is when you take the source and the observer is here and the source is moving away, let us say from position A to position B. So what is increasing? The wavelength is increasing, right? So we will see that the spectrum shifts towards the red. When the source is moving away from the observer, the spectrum lines, because the wavelength is increasing, the spectral lines move towards red. They move towards red. This is called redshift. When the source is moving towards the observer, what happens? Lambda value drops. Lambda means basically distance. Lambda value is dropping. So the spectrum shift towards, see, somewhere here will be blue, right? From the average, the spectrum will shift towards blue. Okay, when the lambda drops, we say that the spectrum is moving towards blue. This is called blue shift. This is called blue shift. You need to understand these two terms, red shift and blue shift. Red shift means lambda is increasing, blue shift means lambda is decreasing. This is of very importance in astronomy actually. When they study stars, they see whether we are moving towards the red shift or the blue shift.